Good, man.
Shit, not much, man. How you living?
Straight, man. So welcome. It's the Coach Chet Show, episode number 1. And we're talking about pursuing passions. Uh, I'm Coach Chet, owner of Warrior Fitness Center in Omaha, Nebraska, the number 1 strength and conditioning facility in the state. We have great training, amazing clients that we work with. We have an opportunity to work with everybody from the stay-at-home mom to the working professional and professional athletes. So today I've invited King ISO to the show.
Most definitely.
For different reasons, this episode I wanted to talk about, again, pursuing passions. And for me, it was fitness. So how I got to where I'm at now, to where I started. I want King ISO to talk about his kind of story and why that might be important to somebody who's watching, who's probably got something they love to do in their life, and that should be probably what they follow. And a lot of times they get sidetracked into life and get held down by having to do a certain job or having to be somewhere where they hate. And they spend a lot of that time in their life wasted, because they could have been doing something they loved, and they chased money or the situation held them down, and kind of breaking those barriers, and why it's important to kind of pursue your passion at all costs. Because in the end, if you chase money, you might find a life that's stable, moderate. But if you really find and go after the things you love, I think you get a lot more out of life, and then the money comes. And I don't think either one of us right now are where we want to be, but we're definitely pursuing those passions.
Right.
And I think, somebody following one of our stories, maybe they're a fitness fanatic, maybe they're into rap music and they want to be an artist, or maybe they want to be the biggest architectural company in the world. I don't know what that passion might be, but chase it. So kind of my story real quick. I know you probably heard me talk about it before, but I started off just loving to work out. I had to work out every day. I was going to 24-hour fitness after work, spending hours in the gym, and I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I had a life on the side. I had to work. I had bills to pay. So, I worked, kind of job hopped, then got into banking, then got into bank management, and I found myself, kind of stuck in banking. It wasn't something I necessarily loved to do. But I was good at it. I was a pretty good salesperson. So because of that, I knew it was something that was sustainable for me, that I could grow with.
Right.
But at the same time, I didn't enjoy going to work. So it kind of came down to one day. I remember being in a meeting. I didn't want to be in a meeting that morning. I felt like we had meetings every other day, and it was a waste of time. And I was kind of frustrated, and I thought about, becoming a personal trainer, but for me, I didn't feel like the money was there to be, working for somebody else in that situation. So I loved to, at the time it was 24-hour fitness. I loved going there, but it wasn't somewhere I wanted to work. I felt like they charged the customer too much. I wasn't going to get paid enough, and the money didn't make sense. And at the same time, if it was going to be something I did, the money had to be there. It wasn't necessarily the primary focus, but it had to be there to where I could sustain the life and expenses that I already had, So I was kind of looking at, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it at my way, and it's got to be something that everything that comes along with that. If I lose, I lose big, and I risk big, but if I gain, I can gain a lot more from ownership. So I decided I wanted to open a gym. I talked with a couple friends that I thought might have similar interests, and we opened Warrior Fitness Center 5 years ago. Yeah. My partner Patrick Taylor is still a part today of Warrior Fitness Center. So we've both had a bunch of successes. He's had some successes in the ring. He also runs a nonprofit organization called Maze that he's had a lot of success with. And it's another passion of his, and I've had my successes with training. I've had the opportunity to work with athletes like Zach Miller, Kenny Anatolu, the strength coach for Terrence Bud Crawford for 4 championship fights, and you know, it's been a ride. I've been in Shape Magazine for hottest trainer of the year.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I mean, I've had some successes, and I've got to work with a lot of great people, and I'm doing something I love. And I mean, that morning when I went in for that meeting, I know I didn't. It wasn't something I wanted to be in. I just knew at that moment I had to walk in my boss's office after the meeting and tell him I was going to put in my 2-week notice. Mm-hmm. And you know, like from that point, you know, gym ownership became the main focus, the primary focus. And I mean, when we opened up, it was a struggle, you know, like just getting clients in the door. We did everything we could. We did Groupon and really didn't gain much, you know, and those clients didn't seem to stay because they price hopped, you know, and it was frustrating, you know, but worked a lot of free hours, you know. When you're pursuing a passion, you're doing something you love, you're putting in a lot of time for free. You're not getting paid anything, you know. But at the same time, you know, you put in that work, and it became something special, you know. And like I said, I know I'm not where I want to go, but I mean, if I could do it again, I'd probably do it 10 times in a row again. You know, as much as I struggle, even to this day, like, you know, like it's not all bells and whistles, and there's a lot of expenses that come with gym ownership. You know, it's not like, you know, especially as a small business owner, we're not rolling in money whatsoever. There's a lot of time, and you know, it seems like most of the time you got to put in a lot more than you get out. But true. I mean, that's why I say, you know, if it's something you love to do, it makes things a lot easier. But kind of talk about who you are. Tell them your name, you know, your stage name, and we'll start from there.
Well, stage name is King ISO. I'm a producer / artist. I do a lot of production for some big name artists out there that you may have heard of. Also a lyricist, you know, an artist myself. I produce for myself. So
what got you started? What got you interested in rapping and wanting to be a rapper?
What got me started, it wasn't necessarily like rap music at first. My mom, the church we used to go to back in the day, the preacher had this old organ, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I used to always play with the organ when they were done with church service, and I just love music. So one day he gifted it to me. I came downstairs, and it was this big old organ in the house. Started playing music, and I just always had musical interests, you know what I mean, since then. So my stepfather, he listened to a lot of rap music, you know what I mean. This was after I'd already like took an interest in the music.
How old were you at the time?
I want to say about like 10 years old.
Right.
When I was able to really understand music, you know what I mean.
Right.
When you're young, you just listening to it, but I'm hearing it and digesting it, and he listened to a lot of the old school '90s cats.
Okay.
There's a lot of Tupac, a lot of Ice Cube, a lot of Scarface, E40, and I was really intrigued by what I was hearing. I thought it was dope.
Right.
And I started to try to do it myself. I learned all the words. I write the lyrics down on a piece of paper and recite them back.
Right.
Then I was able to come up with my own little versions. You know, I did poetry here and there, wrote some stuff. Tupac was probably my biggest influence, and just seeing how he moved and the type of person he was.
So when did it happen for you? The time that came where you were like, you know, like this is what I want to do for a profession. Like,
oh yeah. Well, I want to. I think I was 13 years old, and my big relative Mario, he goes by Snake Lucci Calloway. He took me to my first studio.
Right.
Well, actually, he called me. He was locked up in prison, man. He was in there for like bank robbery or something like that. And he called me over the phone, told me he did music, and he said, "Man, when I get out, man, I'll do music." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "That's cool." And he was rapping to me over the phone. I was like, "That's dope."
Right.
So when he got out, he didn't know that I was trying to, you know, do what he did. You know what I'm saying? He was my most influential relative. I had my cousin. So he took me to the studio, and he didn't even know. And I was like, "Yo, let me try to do something."
Right.
You know what I mean? And he got me into it. And ever since he took me to record my first song, it just took off. I knew at that moment, I was like, "I want to do this."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like years and years, you know, passed through school and all that, still recording, still doing stuff like that, but still working daddy and jobs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just trying to fund my passion. You know what I mean? You're gonna try to stack money here, stack money there. But I knew, you know, with somebody telling me what to do and being on somebody else's time and listening to their rules and their format and they talk to you in your kind of way. I mean, this ain't the life.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Ain't the life for nobody.
Yeah, right. You know, like I wanna get to a point in my musical career to where I'm fully self-sustained. I make all the rules.
Right.
I do, and I'll be a reasonable. I mean, because everybody that had them dead end jobs, they had to. Somebody became the boss of that.
Right.
I want to be the boss of my own situation, my own legacy. You know what I'm saying? Something that my kids can have, something I can pass down. You know, and it won't be just music. You know, eventually you're gonna branch out.
Right.
You're gonna, you know, this gym stuff's taking off. You meet so many different people. You might be in a movie next. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Open up a restaurant next. You meal planning, do all this other stuff. You know, but it finding your passion opens up many doorways, and I just want to get to the point where I'm at that point to where it's like, okay, what do I do next?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But this is the root of the tree for us. You know, for you is
right.
It's fitness, and for me, it's music.
So where are you at now?
Where I'm at now is finally finding people who want to help me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you meet people, so many people when you're doing your passion. And some people want to support, some people halfway support, but you're looking for that next step that's going to secure you financially,
right? To
where you could do all of the other things you know you want to do. Like, I remember when the gym was one side. I remember you didn't have this side. You're like, man, I'm trying to get enough bread so we can open this other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's steps you want to take. There's more things you want to do.
Right.
So I'm at that point now, kind of like how you are. You know, where you start meeting all these different people, and you know what I mean. You start rubbing shoulders and elbows with everybody.
Right.
You know, so like Strange Music's Tech Nine, you know, CEO Tech Nine found out about my music, and he's like, yo, I really want to, you know, help you. I really want to take you to the
How did you find out about your music?
A cat by the name of Ritz.
Okay.
That he just got off of Strange Music, but Ritz, he's a real cool with Yellow Wolf. A lot of people found out about Ritz through Yellow Wolf. But I met Ritz while I was on tour.
Okay.
Went to his hotel room, was freestyling.
Right.
And he got off a tour and pulled up on Tech.
Right.
And was like, there's this dude named ISO, man, you gotta find him.
Right.
So it was like that. Like, I ain't even asked Rich to do that. But
yeah.
And, you know, I was sending this to him. Much love, you a real one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, certain doors open out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting that.
So what was it like the first time you were on stage with somebody that influenced you?
Man, that was like, that's when you know, like you know already, but that's when you really know because you've had this vision, whatever you know somebody's doing out there, whatever you're doing in life, you have a vision. You're like, I'm gonna get to this point,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And it's a point on the checklist. There's so many things you want to check off, which is important. You know, to keep making goals. But I knew I was like, one day I'm gonna be on stage with Tech Nine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was a kid. I think I heard his first CD when I was like 12, 13 years old. And I was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
I want to rap like this. I want to be different. Because didn't nobody sound like Tech. And when Tech invited me on stage with him a couple years ago just to get up there and do backups to one of his verses, just like a little tribute he was doing for his mom. Yeah. You know, rest in peace, mama. It was a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, it was here actually. And the crazy thing is I got to do it at home. It was here at the Slowdown. Like, you know, a couple thousand people in there. I come out on stage.
It's funny you say that because it's just like that moment when you're in that moment, you realize it, you know, and you don't realize you're in that moment till you're in that moment. You know what I mean? Because like you see it when you got a passion for it, and you chase it, and you put everything into it. Like you kind of envision it happening before it happens, you know. And for me, kind of like that moment where you hopped on with Tech, it was the Eucharist Gamboa fight. So Terrence Crawford fought Gamboa in Omaha, Nebraska, at the CenturyLink, and I remember him walking by, a team walked by, and I went with a friend, Justin. We went to the fight, and I told him, I was like, man, one day I'm gonna work with him and people like him. And this is kind of like the gym was a couple years old. You know, I didn't have a bunch of athletes coming in. You know, I was working with some amateur fighters, and that was pretty much it. And I was like, I'm gonna work with him and people like him. Watch. And a couple years later, I invited him to the gym for a workout. He appreciated the work, wanted more of it, and asked me to come to camp. And it was during camp, I'm sitting at camp with some of the other coaches, and Coach Bomack, he looked at me and he was just like, "Hey, did you ever think you work with us? Like before you started working with us, like now that you're working with us, was it something you ever, envisioned before?" And I was like, I told him the same story, the Gamboa camp or Gamboa fight. The year when I saw you at the Gamboa fight, I knew one day I was going to work with y'all. I just knew what would happen, and you're kind of in that moment, And then I think when you continue to pursue that passion, you're always looking for, like what's next, so I mean, it's just crazy how like things go, they happen, and then you in that moment. It's special, but
and I think a main thing that's important is like you was talking about earlier, how some people might get sidetracked,
right?
And they might have a different end goal, like money or whatever, and that's cool. You want to be able to be financially stable with what you love to do, but at the same time, you got to chase your passion. What I mean? Do it because you love to do it, and I feel like when you move out of love, that's how the universe just responds to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're at it daily. You can't stop thinking about it. This is what you wake up. This is what you eat. This is what you breathe. This is what you drink. This is your life.
Right.
And when you have that kind of focus and you have that kind of passion for something, like people don't even realize how far they can go. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are scared to take that first step. They're scared to open their business. They're scared to do something because of what they might look like to some. You probably tell them, I'm going to go in the gym, I'm going to do this. They probably, somebody might look at you like, you're going to do that. And look at you now. Look at you now. You know what I'm saying? 5, 6 years ago, you might have said it. Somebody was like, nah, man, you should stay at the bank. You make good money there. And you're like, but you don't understand. I want to do, and they don't believe.
Right.
But now look at you, hold championship belts, and whoever doubted you was probably just like, wow. You know what I mean? Because that might be a type of person who's scared, who has the same ideas, but they're scared to
take that
step
risk.
out of the door and take that risk. So my advice to anybody would be, don't be scared to take that risk. The only people that are really successful are risk takers. You know what I'm saying? Somebody took a risk with McDonald's or Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Somebody was like, I'm gonna do this, and somebody was like, whatever. Now look at them.
Tell them where they can find you.
iTunes, everywhere. King ISO, King, capital ISO. Find me on iTunes. The Real King ISO at Instagram. King ISO Facebook. King ISO Snapchat. Albums available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, pretty much every media platform. But if I'm there, and then come out. We got a tour coming up. I'm on a Tech Nine's Planet Tour. We'll be everywhere, pretty much in the United States. StrangeMusicInc.com or .net for tour dates and VIP packages. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you.
Coach Chet, CoachChet.com, WarriorFitnessCenter.com. Anybody that wants that work, come get it.
Man,
come get the work, because I'm trying to tell you, I'm about that life. We about that life. Y'all need to come be warriors yourself.
I'm still hurting, man. He gonna get you right all the way, man.
It's always works.
He trains champions.
So appreciate it. We out though. We out.